Hi guys, how are you? Today I'd like to make a plated dessert. I want to take advantage of rhubarb. We have rhubarb it's early on in the season. It's a beautiful item. Here in front of me you see all the mise en place that I've been using for this particular dessert. This is one of the components. It's basically a rhubarb compotee that I'm going to place inside of mascarpone mousse. And then we're going to serve it with some fresh strawberry sorbetto, with some matcha tea streusel, and some meringue crunches. So let's get started. In this case here, we're going to make the compotee using our IQF frozen rhubarb. They're year-round, readily available, and very uniform. They're already pre-cut. We're going to add some granulated sugar. We're going to add some fresh raspberries. The raspberries help because they give a little bit more of the color. Even though the rhubarb has a nice reddish color on the outside, the raspberry really help in getting that. We are also going to add a strawberry puree because I believe, and a lot of people like the combination of fresh strawberries and rhubarb, and it gives a nice sweet accent to the tart rhubarb. Combine all the ingredients. Bring it to a simmer on medium heat. We're going to place this here on top of our induction burner. It's going to take a few minutes. As you saw, I added the rhubarb, the sugar, the fresh raspberry. I added a little bit of water. Even though the rhubarb is going to release some of the moisture, the water helps. And the strawberry puree. You can see over here, it's all together. We just need to bring everything to a slight simmer. This is a good time to add a vanilla bean, okay? One thing I like to do when I have a vanilla bean, I like to kind of like flatten it with the back of my knife. Then I'm going to split it in half, okay? And what you can do sometimes is, oftentimes, scrape out the seeds inside, put them inside, and it really makes it really perfumey. I like it a lot. You can add the vanilla bean as well, no problem. There we go. Okay, so it started to simmer. All right, we added our vanilla bean. I don't want to cook the vanilla bean too much because then you kind of kill the flavor of the vanilla. There we are. Okay, this is then when I take my sugar, the little bit of sugar that we had on the side, and the yellow pectin. This is an apple pectin. We combine those. You want to make sure that it's fully mixed together so the pectin won't lump up. Okay, so we mix it well, and we stir it into the cooked rhubarb, and this will make sure that the rhubarb will thicken. I don't want it to be too thick like a jam or marmalade. It is a plated dessert, so it needs to be just set so the liquid is somewhat stable, but yet still creamy. Bring it to a short boil. Like this, the pectin is activated, and then we're going to pipe it into little molds and freeze it. We're going to make a mascarpone mousse. For this recipe, we're going to use fresh mascarpone cheese, egg yolks, some gelatin sheets, some sugar, some egg whites, sugar again to make the meringue, and some heavy cream. We're going to start with the heavy cream and just getting it ready. It's always good to whip your heavy cream first to a soft peak and just set it aside because that's pretty stable and it's just a better way of going about it. So I've set aside my whipped cream, my soft peak whipped cream, which we're going to use later on. Now we're ready to make our pate bombe. Pate bombe is usually egg yolks whipped up with a hot sugar, a cooked hot sugar. So in this case, we're going to prepare the egg yolks here in the machine. Here's the sugar. Okay. I make sure I collect it all at the bottom, and I slowly pour it onto the side of the bowl. Okay. Carefully. The pate bombe is forming. The egg yolk is getting nice and thick and creamy, like a ribbon stage. That's exactly what we want. We want the egg yolk to be in the ribbon stage. It's a good time to add a little bit of vanilla bean paste. There we are. Okay. It's also a good time to strain your gelatin sheets that we had bloomed in cold water. You want to make sure that you use cold water. You soak your gelatin sheets in there, and when they're nice and plump, you have to strain them out. This is your gelatin sheet. It's bloomed and strained and ready to go. So the pate bombe is still warm, and the gelatin is melted and it's slightly warm. So it's a good time to combine it. I lower the speed. I add my melted gelatin sheets to the warm pate bombe. Okay. And at this point, you want to work a little bit quick, a little bit more faster. I have the mascarpone cheese, which I opened up previously, so it's ready to go. This is 500 grams total. And in this case, what I usually do is I go right ahead and I add it to my pate bombe right there. Okay. Mascarpone cheese is high in fat, so you definitely don't want to overmix it, because then it starts to firm up, just like whipped cream. And we don't want that. I briefly mix it. Okay. And this is, at this point, ready to set aside. Now it's time for us to make an Italian meringue. That's part of the recipe. Again, we're going to take the sugar, add it to the pot. We're going to add a little bit of water to it, just like we did before. How much water? I always say about the amount of water to make it like a wet sand, but like when you go to the beach. A wet sand. The egg whites, we're going to prepare them in our mixing bowl. Make sure your mixing bowl is very clean. There is no grease or anything like that, because that will prevent the egg whites from rising up. So you definitely want to make sure that your mixing bowl is very clean, and also the whisk, that it's very clean. We're going to take off our meringue. All right. I always like to give a little bit of a massage to the egg whites right before I mix it in, just to make sure that it's not into too dry and into clouds. Like I always say clouds, because if it's dry, it's like that. So don't be afraid. Add all your egg whites to the meringue. To the pate bombe. Okay. Okay. I use a whisk at this point. Don't be afraid. Just get it in there. Make sure it's. Mix it quickly but efficiently. Like try to get the most mixing done. And then you just want to add the heavy cream, the whipped cream at the very end. And I always put that at the end, because when you mix this, you don't want to overmix it, because it will continue to whip up and stiffen. So that's why it doesn't whip up anymore. Here we are. This is our mousse. It's fluid. We have the gelatin in it, we have the whipped cream, the egg whites. We can work with it. We can put it into a mold right now, and it will take the shape of any mold you put it in because it's nice and fluid. And that's very important. The egg yolks gave it a nice, healthy color. And I go generously. I push it. Opa. I push it in. So you're going to lose. Opa. It's going to come out from the bottom a bit, and that's okay. That's okay. Hold the mold down. Squeeze it in. You don't want any air pockets. You don't want any air pockets. I'm not going all the way to the top because I'm going to add my rhubarb compotee inside. Okay, here we are. Compotee that we made earlier. Still a little bit soft, which is good. So I filled them up halfway, and the reason why is because in this case, my theme is cylinder, tubes. So the dessert is in a tube shape. I want my rhubarb to be in a tube shape. It's going to get a bit messy, but that's okay. Okay, and we're going to add it right in here. We're going to clean up the edges once we take everything out. It's usually, I top it off. And it's okay. We're going to trim off the edges once we take it out of the mold. This is going to go inside the freezer now. So we have our mousses that we placed in the freezer, and for them to get nice and solid, I took them out earlier. This is what I was looking for, the perfect round shape with the perfect round compotee in the center. Here we are. I don't know if you can see it. We trimmed off the feet, so to speak. We trimmed off the top, the bottom, just to make sure we get the compotee out on both sides. We score the Scotch tape, and it easily unwraps. Okay. I don't want to get too many. I don't want to handle it too much. So it's best to handle it when it's frozen. Like this, it's easier to work with it. We don't want to serve it frozen. Or at this point, I would place them in the refrigerator and use them for service or whenever needed. You want to make sure that they're chilled, but they're not frozen solid. In this case, I would gently take it, maybe place it at 11 o'clock. The other ones I'm going to place back in the refrigerator. We had tempered some white chocolate earlier, and I added some freeze-dried strawberries. Again, going with the theme of rhubarb, some strawberries, and the mascarpone cheese. I spread it out on a sheet. This is basically what it looks like. I added some freeze-dried strawberry powder that we have. And going with the theme of having cylinders and rounds, I think I like the idea of having little round shapes. Okay. So these are my little white chocolate, freeze-dried strawberry decorations. Okay. I think it's kind of cool to do like a little bit of polka dot take on, and you can do this beforehand too, of course. You can make a bunch of them and have them ready to go. It's probably easier to handle too then at that point. It's okay. All right, a little guy over here on this side. Okay, there we are. These are Italian meringue, dried out Italian meringue sticks with a little bit of lime zest on it. Again, the lime is nice because it adds a little bit of tartness to the creaminess, which I like very much. This guy's coming off. A cool trick that I like very much is strawberry and basil goes well together. So I used basil seeds and I just soaked them in water. Okay, Once you soak them in water, they become these little caviar type of seedlings. They're edible, of course, but they give a really nice, little bit of a curious texture look to it, which I think is kind of cool. All right. So it's just the basil with in water. Put a little guy here, put a little guy here. See, it swells up. That's okay. Take a look over here. These are the seeds, the basil seeds, okay? In a matter of 30 minutes, 1 hour, they absorb some of the water and they create this little bit of a, I don't know how to explain it, like gelatinous type of shell. It's almost like spherification, like when they do the modern cuisine. So I think it's kind of really interesting and really cool. Very simple to do. Basil seeds and water. Okay, so we're going to put this right there. We had poached some rhubarb earlier. So we're going to add some of the rhubarbs, poached rhubarbs. Again, I think it's important to put items on the plate that, that indicate what's, that's recognizable. Yeah, to some degree, huh? Okay. Next thing, of course, we're going to the strawberry, because that's part of the rhubarb and strawberry. So I'm using fresh strawberries, cutting off the stem. I'm going to cut this into little wedges. These are super nice. They're nice and ripe. Fresh strawberry. Nothing crazy. We're going to put it right here. That's fine. And that's okay. That's enough. We're going to add something on the bottom of the sorbet so it won't slide. So in this case, we have some crumbs, crumble, streusel. It's a basic streusel with that, but I added some matcha tea powder to it. The matcha tea giving it earthiness, a nice green color. Put a generous amount because that's the only cake that's going to be on there. Okay, you notice that I didn't put any cake or any cookie bottom on the bottom of the mousse. That's the matcha tea. And now we're going to do the quenelle. This is the streusel. I mixed it. It's butter, sugar, flour, and lemon zest and matcha tea powder. Nice and crumbly. Keep it in the refrigerator. Place it on a sheet pan. Bake it off at a low temperature so it doesn't take a lot of color. And it's nice and dry and crunchy. So in this case now we're going to add the sorbetto, the strawberry sorbet. I prepared my crumbs. I have a warm water for the spoon. The warm water so the sorbet doesn't get stuck on it. When you make a quenelle, you want to scrape it off and use the edge of the pan to really turn. So now people usually like, what are you doing? I'm using the bottom of the spoon and I'm warming it up with the palm of my hand. So I'm not really touching the serving portion. I'm just warming up the bottom of the spoon. Sometimes you have to give it a little bit of a help because there we go. When you do it rather quickly and the spoon is still warm and you do it, it releases quickly. Here we are. This is a rhubarb and mascarpone with strawberry plated dessert. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this inspires your curiosities. You can take it in many different ways and steps. Enjoy. Till next time.